What's going on, my Jack brother? Coach Scott here. In today's video, I'm going to share the biggest lesson I've learned to get lean and stay lean. This comes from a great discussion we were having in the Jack with 40 Club, where Brent mentioned that he has no problem being disciplined when it comes to his workouts, but he really struggles to be disciplined when it comes to overeating. Now, Brent is definitely not alone in this. Actually, I would say that overeating is the biggest problem our society is facing today. Many reasons for this. Number one, I'd say, is that food companies are getting incredibly good at manufacturing foods that are highly palatable. We cause us to crave them, and then once we start eating them, we just can't stop ourselves. I also think that because overeating has become commonplace, the social pressure to overeat is mounting higher and higher than ever before. So if you're trying to be responsible with your food intake when you're out in a social setting there, you'll oftentimes hear comments like, come on, why don't you live a little, have a beer, have a slice of pizza, you only live once. And it seems like overeating is celebrated, whereas being responsible with your food intake is frowned upon. And then there's the emotional component. A lot of us will use food as a coping mechanism when it comes to managing our stress and or boredom, stuff like that. So all of these things played a role in me gaining 50 pounds of excess fat when I was in my mid to late 20s, and why I struggled for years and years to lose that excess fat. And it's the biggest reason why saying that if you want to lose weight, it's all about eating less and moving more is an oversimplification. Yes, that's what you need to do, but it's also easier said than done. Now, for some people, abstaining from alcohol and these highly processed foods is going to be what helps them achieve their goal and achieve their weight loss success there. For, like Brent mentioned, if you saw in his comment there, that he's doing a 10-day detox where he's not having any alcohol at all, because he knows that when he consumes alcohol, that usually leads to him overeating. And I have many clients who just abstain, like they find that abstaining from highly processed foods works for them. It's what brings actually greater joy to their life. They just feel better, and they're happier when they abstain from those foods. And some people abstaining from alcohol is bringing more joy to their life than actually indulging in the alcohol. So you got to really know yourself. Now, for myself personally, I love craft beers. I love pizza. And although I really struggled to eat those foods in moderation when I was trying to lose that weight there, I really wanted to, because I love those foods, I wanted to learn how to eat them in moderation. I wanted to learn how to be responsible with my intake. It wasn't easy. It's taken years and years of practice to get to this point, but it's been an incredibly rewarding process. So the first thing that I had to do was recognize the triggers. What was causing me to overeat in the first place? Number one would be, I always found that if I didn't get enough sleep or I was dehydrated, that always spiked my appetite. So the fix for that was to make sure I was getting consistent sleep each and every night, an adequate amount of sleep each and every night, getting a consistent sleep-wake pattern. So that would have a positive impact on controlling my appetite and making sure I had my 40-ounce canister that I fill with water twice throughout the day. So I was at least getting 80 ounces of water, oftentimes 110 ounces of water throughout the day, depending on how active I am, to make sure that I'm not dehydrated, which is causing me to crave more foods at that time. If it was boredom or stress, I'm like, all right, let's get out for a walk. Help me manage that boredom. Distract me from the boredom. Doing something productive, living my life to the fullest, getting out for a hike, being out in nature, like stuff that I love and enjoy, living my life to the fullest. Get out on the paddleboard instead of being bored in the house, flipping on the TV and grabbing a tub of ice cream and drowning my sorrows in that. If it was stress, again, walking, getting out and being active can help manage that stress, but also getting to the root cause of the problem. Like, what's the solution to dealing with this stress rather than just dwelling on the problem that I'm faced with? So there's that kind of stuff. And then social situations. If it was social pressure that I was facing to eat more, I think to myself, like, what, am I still in high school again? Like, if I have another beer here, I know I'm going to pay the price tomorrow. That person doesn't have to live with my body. They don't have to deal with those consequences. Well, maybe if they do, they don't mind so much, but I want to live my life to the fullest. I don't want to have to pay that price the next day. So they're not living in my body. They're not going to have to deal with the consequences. Why should I allow them to have an influence on what I'm eating there? And I think this is something that Brent has had to deal with a lot himself when it comes to the social pressures there. When it comes to alcohol, I know he's got neighbors who like to drink and everything, and when friends pop in all the time randomly, all right, let's have a drink here, and then again, that leads to the food intake. I can totally totally relate to those instances. For the first 3 years I was living here in my house, my neighbors here next door, I had 3 bachelors who they loved to party, and they basically pound a case of beer each and every day. It was like every day they'd be out there. Great people, great friends. They'd always be calling me over, have a drink, have a drink. I'm like, no, I'm good right now. I don't need anything. They never made me feel bad or guilty for not having a drink with them, but I'd still socialize with them. I'd still have a great time, and they'd see like I can have a great time without drinking. There'd be sometimes I would have a drink or two, and again, after 2, if I'm like, that's enough for me, guys, and they were still having fun getting hammered up there, they didn't pressure me to have any more. It was entertaining. I'd be out on my paddleboard and they'd be out on their paddleboard, but they're standing in the water, like feet in the sand, and they've got their cooler loaded with beer resting on the paddleboard. So the paddleboard transported their beer around the lake, whereas I was getting a workout out there. But again, great guys, their choices, but it always seemed to be like every day, like when I was over there, they'd be drinking, I'd turn it down, and they'd be talking, oh, yeah, I gotta lose weight, because they were all overweight, some of them dealing with some health issues there, around my age, just a little bit older than me, so they were struggling. So I'm like, it kept coming up, they gotta lose weight, but they just weren't ready for it. I think for in that situation, you're living with 3 guys, it's basically all 3 of them had to make a choice at the same time in order to not face that kind of pressure, not face that kind of temptation to lose weight. And that kind of brings us to something else that we'll talk about, the temptations, in a moment here, but also like social settings. I was just at a party last week. There was hors d'oeuvres being served and treats and alcohol. I had a drink. And so I filled my plate with some hors d'oeuvres and treats and was having a conversation with one of the guests there who I haven't seen in a long time. And then someone came up to me afterwards like, oh, no wonder you're so lean all the time. You're not eating it. I didn't actually touch it's been 30 minutes and you haven't touched your food there. I'm like, fuck, I was so engaged in the conversation. I was having that's what was bringing great joy to my life. Eventually I was going to get to eating that food. I'm like, wow, like people are actually paying attention to when I'm eating, what I'm eating. Like a lot of times I'll be at a party, they'll see me having a beer, they'll see me having pizza, like you can eat that and still look the way you do. Like they have this impression that in order to get lean, have abs, you have to have no life. I mean, a lot of it does come down to there's some coaches out there telling you anyone who has abs has no life, no social life, they're miserable, all that kind of stuff, which is just absolutely freaking ridiculous. I live my life to the fullest. I enjoy treats when I want to have them, but I enjoy them responsibly. So it is fascinating in social settings to see how people react to me there, what I'm eating, what I'm not eating, what I'm drinking, what I'm not drinking. I don't know. For me, it's just, again, this is my body. I know how my body is going to respond to what I'm putting into it, and I want to thrive. I want to be my best. Now, coming back to the temptations. Now, in that conversation we were having with Brent there, Jeff chimed in, and he mentioned that he just can't have temptations in the house. He just keeps only whole, natural, nutrient-rich foods in his house, so he's not tempted with those treats. And I'm the exact same way. I'd say like 99.9% of the time, the only stuff that's in my house is whole, natural, nutrient-rich foods. The foods that I enjoy, you can count on, like my cupboards have oats in there. I've got my protein powder, rice in my cupboards, some potatoes, sweet potatoes. In my freezer, I've got frozen veggies, frozen fruits. Maybe sometimes I'll have some frozen meats in there that I'll be saving up for another day. In my fridge, eggs, Greek yogurt, like cashew milk, almond milk. My fridge is always fully stocked with alcohol. Like I said, I love craft beer. Now, the craft beers don't tempt me like they used to. I could pound my beers. I could definitely pound those craft beers. But again, like I'll see the beers in there and I'll think to myself, man, a beer would be nice right now, especially if it's a gorgeous, sunny, hot day out there. I get out in the backyard, the lake is hopping. There's just a certain energy in the air. Like, yeah, maybe chilling with a beer right now sounds pretty good, or a Radler, or something refreshing. But then I think to myself, like, do I really want it? Do I really need this in this moment right now? Is it going to serve me well? Will having this beer actually bring more joy and pleasure to my day? Will it allow me to feel my best? And in some cases, it is like, yeah, it's time. I've been working hard. It's time to kick back, relax a little bit, have a drink. And then one is usually enough. Because usually I know, like, after one drink, like, the rest of my day, oftentimes is not as focused, not as productive. I usually end up getting a little bit lazier. I do got to say, like, sometimes I create some very creative workout programs when I have one drink in me there. So there are times where I do cave into that. But again, I'm doing it because I want to have it at time. I'm not going to do it if I don't, like, think to myself, you know what? I'm alone right now. Do I really need a drink? Is it really gonna loosen me up? I'm really gonna have a better experience if I have this beer in me? And most of the time, it's no. And even when I'm out with people, like my neighbors call me over, like, do I want to have a beer right now? If I do want to have a beer with them, I will. Like my dad, I go over and visit them. We go out for our walks, and afterwards, every time he's asked, do you want to have a beer? And sometimes, I say oftentimes, I'll have a beer with him. And other times I'll say just no. Like if I'm not in the mood for one, if I know I don't really want one in that moment, I'm not gonna have one. I'm still gonna enjoy his company, enjoy the visit and everything. I don't need to have the beer, but sometimes it is a bonding experience to enjoy that beer together. When I'm with the guys after hockey, Monday night hockey, I play with them. They're all drinking, and there's some days, some games, I'm like afterwards, I'm like, I just don't feel like having a beer. And there's other days I'm like, all right, I want one, so I'm gonna have one. It's got nothing to do with the outside influences. It's got everything to do with me and what's going to be bringing greater joy and greater pleasure to my life experiences. So that's really what it's all about. That's the biggest lesson that I've learned for myself, is to have that heightened sense of awareness and do what's going to allow me to thrive, to get the most out of this life, to truly live my life to the fullest. Not just live a little to have a beer and be overeating and stuffing myself like everyone else, but to truly consume something that's going to add value to my day, to my life, allow me to give the best of myself to all that I'm doing throughout the day. So those are the biggest lessons. That is the biggest lesson for me. Acknowledging the triggers that caused me to overeat initially, and sometimes it was what was going on in my mind. Like I would have. Like I said, I struggled with the moderation there. So I'd have a cookie. Next thing you know, the whole box was gone. So I recognized that as soon as I'd have one cookie, I'd be like, all right, let's have one more. Fuck it. Screwed up my diet. I'm going to start again tomorrow, start again Monday. So I had to have counter arguments to overcome that trigger there. I'm like, all right, 3 cookies is not going to blow your diet. You can easily make up for this tomorrow or throughout the week here. The damage is not causing much damage, if any at all. You can actually still hit your calorie target for the rest of the day if you just eat a little bit less throughout the day. You don't need to blow your diet all at once. You don't have to go bonkers here just because you had 1 cookie, 2 cookies, 3 cookies. So lots of learning lessons here. Acknowledge, having that heightened sense of awareness, what's triggering you to overeat, and coming up with a plan for overcoming it, but always coming back to what's going to allow you to thrive, what's going to allow you to express the best version of yourself from moment to moment to moment, especially in that moment, what's going to allow you to gain the greatest joy out of that experience. Those are the things that I'm always thinking about when it comes to consuming these foods. And I do enjoy them. Like, I enjoy all these favorite foods. I think it's the biggest reason why a lot of people resonate with this channel, with my coaching, is that I work in all these favorite foods. And also acknowledging that some people don't, it's not best for them to try to work in these foods. It's better for them to abstain. So again, knowing yourself, knowing what's going to give you the greatest joy and pleasure and allow you to live your life to the fullest. That is truly what it's all about. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I would love to hear from you down in the comment section below. Share your thoughts, share your insights, share your feedback. Let Brent know that he is not alone, how you have faced these struggles and challenges when it comes to overeating. And I got to tell you, I still overeat from time to time. It's absolutely nothing like I used to eat to the point of feeling just stuffed, gluttonous, acid reflux, sleep like shit, digestive system a complete wreck afterwards, and that is not good. That's the biggest reason I'm like, this is no fun to me anymore. This is not worth it for me to overeat. I've got to learn to just eat to the point of satisfaction. Stop when I recognize, like, I chew my food slowly, enjoy the conversation when I'm with, like, really taking my time, savoring every bite, like, thoroughly enjoying that meal has been another big lesson for me there. And just recognizing that, yeah, overeating doesn't serve me well at all. I gain no extra pleasure from overeating. So again, those are my experiences. I'd love to hear from you, your experiences, how you've handled these situations. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. If you know a fellow bro who would benefit from watching a video like this, please do me a favor and share it with them. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that alert button so you're notified each time I upload a video. And before you go, don't forget to download your free guide, Lose Fat, Get Jacked. Have yourself an amazing day. Thanks for allowing me to rant here. Hope you gained value from it. Catch you in the next video.